In the high-pressure world of guitar mastery, there was one man whose relentless drive for perfection brought him both praise and resentment. That man was Jeff Beck, the experimental genius who forever changed what the electric guitar could do. To his fans, he was a groundbreaking innovator, a musician unafraid to push sound beyond every known boundary. But to many of his peers, he was also an uncompromising perfectionist, a man whose demands could be impossible to meet. His career was filled with not only breathtaking performances, but also with clashes, fallouts, and rivalries that revealed just how far he was willing to go in pursuit of his vision. Today, we'll explore the 6 musicians who, at different points in time, reportedly struggled with Jeff Beck's unforgiving approach to music, rivalries that were as much about philosophy and priorities as they were about playing style. At number 6, we begin with Slash, the top-hatted gunslinger from Guns N' Roses. While Guns N' Roses was taking over MTV in the late 1980s with raw, bluesy, street-level rock, Beck was diving deeper into complex jazz fusion and electronic experimentation. According to former Guitar World editor Brad Talinsky, Beck wasn't impressed by Slash's mainstream success. He allegedly told other musicians that Slash was wasting his abilities on 3-chord tantrums, and that Guns N' Roses' fame showed the public cared more about spectacle than about true musical growth. What really stung Beck was that Slash's popularity overshadowed his own intricate explorations. Where Beck was pushing the boundaries of what a guitar could express, Slash was selling out arenas with what Beck reportedly dismissed as adolescent blues rock. At one Los Angeles studio, witnesses even claim Beck confronted Slash, saying talent without curiosity becomes circus performance instead of musical evolution. Coming in at number 5 is Eddie Van Halen. Eddie's revolutionary tapping technique in the late 1970s made him a hero to guitarists everywhere. But Beck reportedly viewed it differently. According to journalist Yaz Orek, Beck told colleagues that Eddie was more showman than artist, someone who confused athletic skill with true musical depth. Beck allegedly described Eddie's playing as finger exercises disguised as breakthrough compositions. The heart of their disagreement was simple. For Beck, innovation meant expanding emotional expression. For Eddie, it was about dazzling technique. In a 1981 comment to Guitar for the Practicing Musician, Beck said, "Some players think speed equals creativity, but lasting contributions require substance beyond parlor tricks that impress the crowd without touching their hearts." At number 4, we find Yngwie Malmsteen, the neoclassical shredder whose lightning speed thrilled some and infuriated others. By the mid-1980s, Malmsteen was becoming famous for blending heavy metal with classical influences. Beck, however, reportedly dismissed him as a conservatory dropout who turned Bach and Vivaldi into background music for headbangers. To Beck, Malmsteen's speed was empty without soul. He allegedly called Yngwie's work classical karaoke, saying it confused fast arpeggios with genuine understanding of Baroque music. At a European festival, Beck was even overheard saying Vivaldi wrote to express human emotions, not to provide backing tracks for guitar masturbation sessions. Strong words that reveal just how little respect Beck had for Malmsteen's style. Number 3 brings us to Eric Clapton, Beck's old bandmate from the Yardbirds. While Clapton stuck closely to traditional blues, Beck believed in pushing blues into new territory with fusion and electronic textures. According to blues historian Paul Trinka, Beck often said Clapton was like a museum curator, afraid to disturb the exhibits. He accused Clapton of mistaking repetition for authenticity, of treating the blues like religious scripture that couldn't be changed. Their rivalry was philosophical as much as personal. Beck once remarked, "The blues masters we worship were innovators in their time, not museum pieces afraid of change." It was his way of saying that Clapton's success was built on nostalgia, while Beck was trying to carry the blues into the future. At number 2, we find perhaps the rivalry that hurt Beck the most, Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin. Both men had played in the Yardbirds. When Page left to form Led Zeppelin, Beck believed he had taken ideas they had developed together, and then built an empire on them. According to Yardbird's historian Greg Russo, Beck told friends that Page was a shrewd businessman who profited from innovations they had created side by side. While Zeppelin went on to legendary status, Beck struggled with unstable lineups and less commercial success. For Beck, this wasn't just professional rivalry. It was a wound that never fully healed. He reportedly felt Page had claimed sole credit for breakthroughs that should have been shared. Finally, at number 1, we reach the betrayal Beck felt most personally: Rod Stewart. In the early 1970s, Stewart was fronting the Jeff Beck Group while quietly preparing his solo career. According to bassist Ronnie Wood, Stewart one day simply disappeared, leaving Beck stunned and abandoned. Beck believed Stewart had used the group as a stepping stone before leaving to pursue stardom on his own. What hurt most wasn't just losing his singer, but losing him right when the band was on the verge of mainstream success. Stewart's solo career skyrocketed immediately after his departure, confirming to Beck that the partnership had been expendable in Rod's eyes. To Beck, it was the ultimate example of loyalty sacrificed for fame. So there you have it. Slash, Eddie Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, Eric Clapton, Jimmy Page, and Rod Stewart, 6 musicians whose paths collided with Jeff Beck's relentless pursuit of excellence. The question remains, was Beck's perfectionism justified genius, or was it an impossible standard that left wreckage in its wake? What's certain is that Jeff Beck never compromised. For him, the guitar wasn't just an instrument, it was a lifelong laboratory for invention. And while that made him difficult, it also made him unforgettable.